Welcome to day 128 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of January 2005, which was Hide and Seek.
So for some background information, while as you guys remember, The Ring was a childhood trauma of mine. I had actually seen this movie a few times when I was younger, and I actually was never afraid of this movie. So
Let's
yeah, I wasn't. I guess for me, like the weird thing is that I like psychological horror, but like visual horror is not something that I do well with. So yeah, that's kind of the weird disconnect with that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've. I don't know what to say for this.
I
Like, I have like an overall rough opinion, but it's like trying to place like everything. It's like every tiny little thing. Like I have like a different opinion on. Like some things I think work all right, but then others like totally don't. But how the things like interact with each other, it's like, well, how do I feel about that? And different, it's like
yeah, I kind of agree with that.
I don't know. I think okay. I mean, I get spoilers. I guess. I mean, we kind of don't exactly hide them very well, but I mean, the point of the movie is kind of like that you don't know what the twist is, so let's just get that out of the way. But at the same time, I don't know. Well, okay. So this is kind of like I don't even know where to start. um,
I think I know what you're going to say. It's kind of like, even though it was supposed to be a twist for the end of the movie, it didn't really do a
it's
good.
not really.
It didn't like they intended on it being, because when it gets revealed, it's like this big thing and stuff. But you kind of get signs of it throughout the beginning of the movie still,
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
it's not like Sixth Sense where it's like, oh, I understand everything, and then everything kind of piles up and stuff. It's kind of like, kind of saw this coming, kind of. Was that
I
what you were?
no, I
I
mean,
did well, I did kind of see now that we did watch The Sixth Sense, I did kind of see that it was trying to do what The Sixth Sense did.
Mm.
I
And
can see
I
that.
like as someone who has seen this movie and like is pretty okay with it, I can like say for sure that it definitely did not do nearly as well as The Sixth Sense did.
Mm.
Like for me, I would say that I didn't see it coming, but at the same time, when it was revealed, it just made me more confused. Because I was like
Mm.
trying to then figure out, okay, how does this? First of all, I couldn't even. I was like, wait, how they revealed it was really awkward. Like I'm like, wait, huh? And so I
Yeah,
literally,
it's weird.
I had to like look up on
Yeah.
Wikipedia because I was like confused, and how it was. They kind of described why how it showed, it made sense, and I'm like, oh, okay. After reading it, like I understand, but I'm like, I feel like the movie doesn't really show it
It
that well.
it doesn't really show it to you very well, and I think overall what kind of fails is you don't really know what um Charlie, quote unquote, Charlie is supposed to be. So you don't know if it's actually a real person or if it's actually like Dakota Fanning.
I thought originally that Charlie was going to be a ghost. Cause
Like dragging the supernatural element.
yeah, so I thought it was, because I knew it was a horror thing. So I was like, maybe Charlie's a ghost and it's gonna take that thing. But then as time went on, it didn't necessarily make sense, and then his reaction started piling up too. And that he never saw said ghost. And then I went on to another thing of, oh, maybe he's possessed. But no, that also didn't pan out for obvious
Possessed by the ghost Charlie.
Well,
reasons.
see, the thing for me is like I said I don't. Again, I know I've said this before, but and I know I said this recently, but I don't remember when I said this. It was about like how twists work, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
my issue
there's-
with this is that, like, if you try to it needs to make sense, and to me, like, the reveal for this, again, the reveal itself is a bit clumsy, but then if you think about, like, to what happened before the reveal, it's like things don't make sense, though.
Yeah.
The main issue that I have is it doesn't explain Dakota Fanning's, like, her character's behavior.
Yeah.
Like, I would get that she would be, like, then super awkward around her dad, right? And, like, I get that. But it's like, you know what I mean? She, like, it looks like she's doing things that are wrong. Like, they're portraying her like she's guilty, and it's like, that doesn't
I don't really
make
know
any
why.
sense. Like, I know why, like, in terms of making a movie, because they wanted it to be like a red herring of, like, oh, look, she's the suspicious one, right? But again, if you think of it in terms of the overall story, her actions don't make any sense, and her, like, reactions to things and, like, her comments and stuff, it's just, it doesn't work. And it's like they just tried to sacrifice this, because again, it's not like The Sixth Sense where if you think back to it, you're like, oh wait, it does make sense. Here it's just like you just kind of did it for the sake of, like, storytelling, quote unquote, but even then it, like, doesn't work. And I guess just personally, like, I never really thought, like, the whole trope of, like, the kid that's kind of weird and, like, says weird things is, like, scary.
Yeah, it's
I don't know,
not.
it just seems kind of awkward. And then, like, also, I don't know, like, the whole thing about, like, it was him but another personality the whole time. Like, I don't know, that bothers me. It seems lazy. I don't know. It's like you could do that for anybody.
I think it's something that used to be done a lot, like, in this kind of time period. I think my mom would watch a lot of horror movies where the twist would be that it's a split personality, and those movies usually took place around the mid-2000s. So I think right now it's just buying into that trope that was kind of relevant at this time.
Because, like, for example, Primal Fear had this, right?
Yeah.
But Primal Fear did a much better job with it, even though we didn't think Primal Fear was that great. But that was mostly for other reasons. Because at least for Primal Fear, the whole thing was that you actually, like, legitimately felt bad about this other, you know, his not violent personality, and about how, like, you know, you got to see the interaction and the consequence. Here is you kind of feel bad for the guy, like, in the beginning of the movie when he's trying to figure out what's going on, but then once you figure out what's going on, it's just he's all bad and there's no sympathy, no interaction whatsoever.
That too, like, in Primal Fear, now that you brought that up, you can see a distinct difference between the two personalities.
Yeah.
So
here it's just like he's kind of the same, but, like, slightly, like, on, you know,
slightly
generically
more
creepier.
Yeah.
He's creepier and more angry and obviously willing to kill. But you could see those signs even previously, like when I mentioned that maybe I thought he was possessed or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like... And then there was that whole scene where they tried to make it seem as if the neighbor was Charlie, too.
Yeah, wait a minute. So then if he wasn't Charlie, then, like, why was he acting weird? Because he was acting weird. Right?
I don't think that was ever explained.
Right, and then, like, what? Okay, what was up with the cave? Like, they kept at the beginning of the movie, they show the cave like it's some important thing, and they kind of, like, show it a few times. Then they go into it, but then, like, there's no point for it to be there. It's just there. It's like they made it seem like the cave is somehow, like, a part of the story when it's not at all. It's just like I don't get it.
I can only assume as, like, someone who writes that it's supposed to be a symbol, but I don't think they utilized it enough for it to be earned as the symbol.
No, you can't just throw something into a narrative just to say, oh, it's a symbol. It's like, well, it has to do something in the meanwhile. It can't just exist as a symbol.
I'm not saying that it worked. I'm just saying that that's probably what they were trying to do.
I guess, but even then, I don't really see
Especially
what it would be a symbol of.
The thing with the cave is that how I feel they could have maybe, like, done the cave a little bit better is that the beginning of the movie, she goes to the cave, and you're just like, okay, fine, there's the cave. Alright, she's looking at the cave. But then they don't really make much of a mention of the cave until he has, like, his, I guess, breakdown where he realizes he came out of the cave and everything and stuff, and then we finally get to the cave and it's anticlimactic and whatnot, but at least in the cave. But how maybe they could have done it is like the beginning scene where she first approaches the cave, maybe a hand extends out to her, which would have been, because remember how in his breakdown he opened his hand and there was like the monarch and stuff in his hand?
Yeah.
So if you don't see the guy's face, you just see the hand and Dakota's reaction to like the monarch in his hand and stuff, then you would figure out, okay, one, it's a person and not a ghost and stuff, like what I thought. And then two, you would see, okay, there's something in the cave, evidently, and stuff.
Yeah, that's the angle I thought they were going to go with it. Like, I thought there was going to be some, like, psycho weirdo dude, like, hanging out in the cave and, like, he was creeping in their room or something. Like, that's the angle I thought they were going for, but then they, like, didn't show the cave again, so it's just like, okay, you know, I don't...
It's almost like they forgot to add something.
Yeah. That too, why did he kill the Elizabeth? The woman through the window?
I can only assume that Charlie is supposed to just be a psycho killer, I don't know.
Well, see, that's another issue. Like, that in of itself is not interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like, he kills people. It's like, okay, like, why? It's like, because. Okay, it's not, you know, it doesn't...
Yeah.
Especially...
I could understand the wife and stuff,
yeah.
But then all the other ones I could... Especially when he killed the sheriff right after, like, he had his breakdown and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That also...
Because, like, especially, again, like, going back to Primal Fear, for example, I mean, there wasn't really a reason there, but, like, that wasn't the focus of the story, right?
Yeah.
It was the character conflict there. So this was very much, like, what is happening, who is killing people, and stuff like that, so it's, like, what, you know, it's just, it doesn't work in that manner narratively. It's just, it feels really confused in terms of what it wants to say and how to say it.
Yeah.
And then this is just something else that bothered me. It's the movie tries like too hard to jump scare you. Like there's completely unnecessary moments where, like, for example, the woman's like getting the gun from like the dead sheriff guy and like his hand spasms and grabs her and there's like a poof noise and you're like, but it's like that does nothing, right? That's just there just to scare you. You know what I mean? That's lazy.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the jump scare craze.
Yeah, so it's just like there's a couple other scenes that are similar.
Not even
where it's
the
like,
beginning, because it's kind of like, remember how when we watched Scary Movie, in the beginning when she's like,
Scary
on the
Movie
phone.
3.
Yeah, and that was like the opening and closing of cabinets and stuff, and also in The Ring, also the opening and closing.
Well,
or no, maybe that wasn't the actual Ring, not the Scary Movie.
Yeah, the argument with Scary Movie 3 is that it's a spoof, so...
Yeah.
Of course.
That's the thing, like, I didn't really like Scary Movie 3, but at least, like, it was supposed to be goofy.
It's self-aware that it's stupid, and it's, like, not really trying, so you can forgive it in that way.
Yeah, this is, like, the opposite in like, mentality, but it still accomplishes the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, actually thinking that it's, you know, smart in terms of how it's trying to do things. And it's like, well, no, it's just, you know, I'm gonna have a scare here because I want to. And it's like, well... I'm kind of annoyed because it's like, I was actually kind of interested in what was going on for most of the movie. Like, I wanted to figure out what was happening and why things were going the way they were. But then it's like... But there were the problems with, like, that, and then also the dialogue itself was, like, not that great. I mean,
the dialogue is weird.
It's not terrible, but it's
just
not
weird.
very good. So there was things like that were bothering me, and then again, once like the reveal happened in the end, it was just like, you know. So
and then it kind of turned into like your typical horror movie where it's like a chase scene, and then you get like oh god, what was that movie called? Shudder? Was that? No, wait, which one?
Which one?
The one where...
Did we watch it?
We didn't watch it. It's like... It's the one where he takes the axe to the door.
The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah, it's like that, where it's like the chase scene and everything and stuff.
Even then, it's not exactly that exciting because he's just
It's-
kind of
yeah, it's
slowly
not as
walking around the
exciting,
house. So
yeah.
yeah, it's just, I mean, I felt it was like okay, kind of like mixed, like curious, but not like I'm really invested. But then once it was actually revealed, it just kind of devolved into just meh. I don't think anything is really like bad. It's just not very good.
it's pretty like whatever.
I am kind of surprised that it got like it on Metacritic. It's like in the 30s, and then Rotten Tomatoes actually has it like 13, and I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. Damn.
Oh no, of course it's not that bad. It's pretty mediocre
Yeah.
to like slightly under mediocre. Like even I who can appreciate the fact that I can watch one horror movie and like I grew up with this. I know that there are like pretty blaring flaws, but I don't think it deserves to be that low.
Yeah. So
Especially when we have other things.
yeah.
Like Shark Tale.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be the running joke now, isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much. That's gonna be our new standard for bad.
Like
Yeah.
just bad, but not completely like
Yeah.
rage-inducing.
That's gonna be our determination for like how bad is this movie really? Is it better or worse than Shark Tale?
I mean, I would have offered my own childhood trauma, but it was The Ring, and like The Ring is actually like a good movie. It's just I couldn't watch most of it.
Yeah. So we're all in agreement this is better than Shark Tale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By a decent
at
amount,
least.
but it's still, I think you're also in agreement it's not exactly good.
It's not.
No.
It's not good. No, it's not a movie I would recommend, but it's not something that is like something you should just throw away immediately. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I guess there are two more things.
mhm.
One is something that I mentioned previously, but before that, how did they, like, you know how he, like, switched between, like, himself and Charlie and stuff, at least supposedly in the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he get, like, because when you see him in some shots, he's, like, all the way on the other side of the house, and then he has to run back. As Charlie, did he, like, intentionally run to the kitchen and then become... I forgot what his other name was.
David.
Yeah, and then become David and then run all the way back to the crime scene?
He can teleport. Actually, maybe he is part ghost.
Maybe? Because that was why I was like, okay, maybe there's, like, something supernatural happening and stuff. Because he would appear in certain places where... And then Charlie would have disappeared and, like, literally maybe, like, 2 minutes would have passed, but he's in the other side of the house.
For that fact alone, I'm willing to say that maybe there is a supernatural element, but you just don't see it.
Maybe.
But I feel like that's like just saying that is like an excuse to cover up this like kind of shitty writing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I guess he's a track star then.
wait, there's another thing that's kind of is weird. What's up with the window?
Yeah, that too.
Because like,
I don't-
Then why did he
it's-
kill the cat?
Well, because think about the window for a second. Like, he couldn't open it that one time, but then it was open. Ooh, it was open, but like, it's still him. It's not like when you switch personality, you suddenly get stronger, right? Like, how the fuck does that work? But then at the end of the movie, Dakota Fanning apparently opens the window. So
Yeah.
what? Like, how does this work? What's up with this fucking window?
The
Doesn't
little
make any
girl is
sense.
stronger than her dad.
But no, half of her dad. Doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of times people like nitpick plot holes like too much, and it's like, oh, something didn't make 100% logical sense or whatever, and it's like, but so I feel like I don't notice them a lot. It doesn't bother me that much. But for these are like, I don't know, this because it's so simple. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
the window doesn't affect the overall narrative. So it's like, why didn't you have it that way then? It's just, you're making it more confusing for no reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't, whatever.
Your second point.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
sorry,
my
I think it's the same.
The point is, how does Dakota Fanning, like, not get traumatized from all of these movies? Because Man on Fire, she got kidnapped, and then this happens, and it's just like, dang. I don't know how old she was, but she was definitely younger than like 15 or so.
What were her parents
Not like
thinking?
10. Yeah. Like, I would have nightmares.
Oh, wait a minute.
Huh?
I just happened to look on Wikipedia. Apparently there are multiple endings
What?
on the DVD. Like, they included multiple endings.
I saw that too.
So...
What are the other endings?
Okay, so the ending of this is that, like, it's just, what the woman has, like, the Dakota Fanning at her house or whatever, and, like, she's going to school, but then she, like, in a drawing, she has drawn herself with, like, 2 heads, so it's like, oh, look, she has another personality as well, which is like, okay. But, okay, so, another ending, oh, it's just the same, except there aren't 2 heads. Okay.
I guess that's the happy ending.
I guess. Okay, just for someone who doesn't seen the movie or doesn't remember, so Emily is the name of Dakota Fanning, and then the other woman's name is Catherine, so...
Okay.
I'm gonna read this word for word. Emily is shown seemingly in a new apartment bedroom, and Catherine's actions mirror that of her mother's at the beginning of the film. She reassures her love to Emily and begins to leave the room. Emily asks Catherine to leave the door open, but Catherine insists she cannot. As the door shuts, a protected window is visible on the door. The next cut is of Catherine locking the door from the outside, revealing this assumed apartment bedroom is actually a hospital room at a children's psychiatric ward. Emily gets out of bed and does a hide-and-seek countdown. She nears the closet, opens, and smiles at her own reflection in the mirror. Okay, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Maybe that's all the trauma right there.
Maybe.
I guess.
I mean, I kind of dislike the fact that they portrayed... I know that this is a trope and everything, as Mayan said, but it's still, like, sad to see that her having the the personality disorder is considered, like, horrible ending.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so then the other endings are just slight variations of that, where, like, it's the psychiatric ward thing, but there isn't, like, the hide and seek countdown with the mirror. And then the last one is she is actually in a house with Catherine, but then she does the hide and seek thing with the mirror.
Why do they film so many endings?
Yeah, I don't know, and it's like, does it really affect it that much? Honestly, it doesn't. I mean, the psychiatric ward thing, like, that, I guess that could be interesting, but, like, I don't know, it just feels kind of like a cheap way of ending, like, ooh, it's not over, you know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
It's like sequel bait that you don't deserve, so... It's just...
I don't think there is one, so it's all good.
Yeah, so whatever. Meh. This movie's meh. Anything else to say about this meh movie?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.